Welcome back to a new episode of Relocate to Happiness podcast. Today with me is Valentina Lujan. Valentina is a Mexican businesswoman, mother of two, international speaker, a podcaster, an author of an audiobook on promoting happiness and positive psychology. She has studied human behavior for the last 20 years, and she's convinced that we can learn to be happy. She created Valentinamente Feliz, which is a project in which she shares tools from different platforms to build a fulfilling life. Good morning, Valentina. We made it.
We made it! So happy to be here with you and all your audience.
You know, despite all the problems, despite the fact that you're in Mexico City and I'm here and we had internet, we didn't give up and we make it possible. So thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for the patience.
It's okay. My pleasure to be here. No worries.
How was the jogging this morning?
Very good. I just love to start the day bringing some endorphins into the table. I've realized the days I work out, my probabilities to have a very good day are much, much higher. So that's why I just do my best.
So if I'm having to keep going, yeah. So if I'm having like a little low day, what would you recommend me? Like that I would go now for like a jogging and some sport myself?
Yeah, definitely. Like if you're familiarized with the sports, just go. If you're not, just walk like in good pace.
Mm-hmm.
I also play some music or start looking at my favorite pictures. Just like do something that brings you up and brings good energy and puts you in the half full part of the glass instead of, because we all have these bad days, right? But if you in advance have all these tools in mind, when you're conscious that your energy is low and maybe you're having some struggles or something, just like to having that key tool to reach out from. And so for me, it's music, friends, pictures, workout, maybe nature sometimes. So
it does all the tricks.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I get it. Okay, so listen, let's start. Before before I start like what I call like the most serious questions, I have 3 questions about questions that I do it with all my guests, and it's amazing to see all the like different answers to everyone. So question number 1, what was the most meaningful question that you were ever asked?
I have many, but maybe why I'm alive for. Another one is why I got married and maybe why I decided to have kids.
Wow. Okay. So 3 many meaningful questions. Okay. Another question about question. What was one question that you asked yourself and it created a breakthrough?
I think because I have 2 businesses, right? So the question was if that work was my passion and it was worth enough to wake up every day. And the question was to find this out was if I wouldn't get payment or money from these activities, would I keep doing them? And the answer was no. And that's why I changed my career. Yeah.
Amazing. We have like a question in coaching that we say, in a world without prices, what would you be? What would you do? Because like, price is not like money prices, but like prices without being judged by the others, without, considered guilty and being watched and asking yourself, what would they say? What would what would they think? Will I look silly? All this stuff. Like, what would you be in a world without prices? So I love your answer. And the third question is one question, and you can like think about it after. What was one question that you were never asked, but you wanted to be?
I wanted to be asked.
But nobody ever asked you. or maybe one question that I didn't ask you, and maybe we can do it at the end of the podcast. One question that I was supposed to ask you and I forgot. It's a tricky one.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, but I think maybe it's related to the other one. Like, if you wouldn't have the chance to fail, what would you do?
Amazing, yeah.
Yeah, maybe that would be one. And maybe another one would be, if I would have like a magic stick, or
the magic wand,
the genius in the bottle,
Tinkerbell, yeah.
What would I ask for? Because I think that's something I ask myself all the time, but I've never been asked that question.
But I ask you now. No, I'm joking. But I like the way you're stopping. I like the way you're stopping to think, and to. It's already, it's like it's creating there some, making some neurons, between. So, something.
Yeah, synapses. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I think those questions, and I think it should be like something extreme, adventurous, like something totally disruptive. Because like regular questions, they don't really make you think a lot. So
yeah. This is why I put them at the beginning, just to warm up, and then to start the other questions. But you can.
Perfect.
Okay, so
I will keep it in the back of my mind to see if I get a better one.
No, I think you did. There's no good or bad here. It's just only excellent. And they're like, so there's no, bad answers. Like whatever you think, you just say this is the good part. And I also have like an explicit, like in my podcast so you can say whatever you want. It's like 18 plus. So feel free.
Perfect.
Okay, ser feliz es su responsabilidad. Did I say correctly? Being happy is your responsibility.
Perfectly.
It's your project, right?
To be happy.
To be happy.
Yeah, that's the slogan. Yeah.
So my first question is, of course, what is happiness for you?
Happiness for me is to feel fulfilled in my own skin and have the courage to build this ambitious and complex idea of long-term well-being.
Beautiful.
That's happiness for me.
And talking about personal responsibility. So what role do you think that personal responsibility actually plays in the, in the way to the like, let me think, how should I put this question? What role do personal responsibility, that you're talking so much, right, about it, plays in achieving happiness?
I think for me, personal responsibility is like the greatest detonator of happiness, because it brings you from helplessness to helpfulness, creating hope. Like if I'm totally conscious that where I am and who am I right now dependent on all the choices I've made and all the actions I've taken, that means that if I don't like where I am and who I am today, I can do and decide differently to move to a different place. But if I'm in the victim, my husband needs to change, the government needs to be different, my neighbor needs to do something else, the weather is terrible, like all my reality depends on everything else but me, then I'm condemning myself to stay there. And I just hope or pray that things outside of my reach change in order for me to have a different life. So in the moment I embrace responsibility of my reality, I'm totally empowered to do differently and to change my reality and to start dreaming and start making dreams come true and start building good relationships and start taking care of my health and my learning and reinvent myself. So for me, personal responsibility is like the key detonator of happiness. And in Spanish, I think it's very important to make a distinction because we have ser feliz
And
and
estar feliz.
feliz, right? In English, it's just be happy or to be happy or being happy. It's a verb to be, right?
Yeah,
But
we have the
in
same
Spanish,
in the Portuguese. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. In Spanish, estar feliz relates to a mood, to an emotional state related to pleasurable emotions like gratitude, peace, serenity, joy,
Punctual things
maybe
like
fun.
like temporary things.
Right? It's short term. And as every mood, it changes, right? But ser feliz, it's a complex and ambitious idea of building long-term well-being in your life. And you need to be courageous and you need to be brave because that's scary, and can be uncomfortable. Start working on your nutrition, your health, your relationships, having all these uncomfortable conversations with those people to set limits, to make agreements, to say what you don't like, to promote what you do like, maybe sign into a workshop that something you always wanted to learn, but you think you're going to be very bad at it. It's scary, or maybe talking to a person that you've always liked, but you're not sure how he's going to react or talk back to you. That's scary. So, but that's necessary. So it can be uncomfortable in the short term. That's why you need to be brave in order to step out and do it anyway. But in the long term, those are the things and the decisions that really make you
grow,
be happy, and that bring you this complex construction of happiness in your life. So I think personal responsibility is step number one, and number two is courage, bravery.
I like it. We were talking about when you gave me the example now about kind of depending your happiness on the other. You rang a bell to me with the circle of influence and circle of concern. The 7 highly habits of highly effective people.
Effective people.
I always get it wrong. Yeah. This name of the book. Does it ring a bell to you too?
Yeah, because you cannot be effective if you're not in charge. If you're depending on everything else.
Yeah, and the idea is to take responsibility for what you're doing, to always focus, to make the circle of influence bigger than the circle of concern. Yeah, there are a million things that I cannot control, like the war or the Wall Street or, I don't know, the weather or a million things, And then to make a list of the things that you can actually influence, you can actually have control of. And once you're making that circle bigger, then you can actually take responsibility for your own happiness and actually work with what you have and what you can change.
Exactly, because you're setting your attention and you're focusing on what you can do. And that brings you hope and empowerment and possibility of action. If your attention is in what you cannot do, you bring despair, frustration, sadness, helplessness, and that doesn't sound to me like a very positive state of being or place to be at. So I'm always trying to bring people into the responsibility area, because that means that you can do differently, and that is in your control. And I always like to mention Viktor Frankl, this doctor from Austria that was in the Second World War in concentration camps. And even he was facing the most terrifying situations in humankind. He said, you always have the freedom to decide who you want to be facing those situations. That's something that no one can steal from you.
I
who
agree.
you want to be. How do you want to face that adversity?
And he's someone that lost
You
like all
and
his
only
family in
you.
Auschwitz and right, like the
Yeah, he was facing the most terrible
experiences.
challenges a person can face in life, like terrible. And for me, is very valuable, because if a person in that situation can say that, it's not that this idea of responsibility and internal freedom is fake,
Mm-hmm.
it's not bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
It's real. It's real. And in the moment you feel responsible of your feelings, your thoughts, your actions, your relationships, your learning, your courage, then you're in charge. That means you can do it differently if you don't like what you do. And that means you can do more if
Mm-hmm.
you like where you are. You can do more of that brought you where you are.
Mm-hmm.
So personal responsibility for me is like really what detonates this internal freedom, this bravery, this courage. And I always say, don't take life so seriously.
I like that.
Be willing to experiment. Like it's better fail that to never try. How boring life will be if we're always reserving everything
Mm-hmm.
because we're afraid, because we can fail, because they can reject us, because what they're gonna think about us. Oh my, like seriously, there's no time for that.
So would you add number 3, like you said, like personal responsibility, courage? Would you add also humor?
Yeah,
The
yeah. I think humor is a good thing. Like really, and humor for me doesn't mean to laugh about everything.
mm-hmm.
Humor for me is to really
Taking
make a
things light.
50% discount
Mm-hmm.
on everything. If someone is yelling at you, oh, he's so ugly that for him it should be very hard to look at the mirror every morning. So you make that thing not personal. It's his thing. He's angry, he's yelling, doesn't have anything to do with me, and you just laugh and keep going. I have many people, friends, coaches, that they're always saying, oh, but my boss made me angry, or my husband made me angry. No, they didn't make you angry. You decided to be angry about what they did, but you could laugh. You could have made a joke,
Mm-hmm.
out of nothing. You could say, oh, if you want we can talk later, you're in a very good mood right now. Like, you choose how you handle situations, and you're not the victim, and you're not um the person that needs to survive everything. And like, I really think we're not in that space right now in
Mm-hmm.
the history of humankind. Like, life is short, even we're gonna live 120 years now. um because the other day I was in a conference, and the guy was saying that every year the medical knowledge duplicates,
Wow.
right? So there's going to be a point, like very soon, less than a decade, that even though you're going to lose 1 year because you're 1 year closer to your death,
Mm-hmm.
in that year, because of the medical advancements, you're going to gain 1.2 years of life. So
Interesting.
you're losing one, but you're gaining 1.2. So there's going to be a point that, I don't know, I think we're going to be eternal, or I don't know what's going to happen.
So
But
if you don't get run by the bus, you can make it to 120. This is what you're telling me?
exactly.
I wanted to ask,
So
that you mentioned, I saw that you went to the conference and I told you it was super interesting. And I saw that you were also, you interviewed Dan Butner, what's his name, from the Blue Zones
yeah,
Living to
then
100. So Dan, your BFF, I'm joking. Uh, so you met Dan Butner. What did he tell you? I didn't see the interview yet, I have to confess. But
he's such a cool guy. He's really chilled. He's very generous, very easygoing, great sense of humor. and we were talking, and he didn't really like, or he wasn't very into positive psychology. I think he didn't have like a huge knowledge on the
Mm-hmm.
field, but he did have knowledge on the world and longevity and nutrition and the importance of connections and stuff. So he was really making a point on the importance of building a good environment around you, so the
Mm-hmm.
decisions you make are pretty much unconscious. You can make good decisions pretty much unconsciously. So you set your kitchen in a way that you will always have healthy choices by hand. You have a front porch instead of a back porch. So when you're reading a book and a neighbor walks by, you can say hello and have connections and this kind of stuff. So what I was asking is that, what did he think about personal responsibility as
Mm-hmm.
the pillar of happiness? So he was saying that, we've been telling people for decades that health is their personal responsibility and didn't really make a change. So he was offering this kind of solutions, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
building the environment, the right environment around you so you can make better decisions. And what I was arguing is that those decisions to build the right environment are personal responsibility. Because if you don't feel responsible of your environment and for setting limits and for being surrounded by healthy people, like-minded people, um, you're just going to be reactive, like most people are.
Mm-hmm.
They wake up, they just go to work, they never question, they never reflect if they're happy, they like their jobs, if they like the people they work with, if they are like their life, or if they can do something differently to live better.
Mm-hmm.
So at the end, I think we made an agreement on that, and he definitely accepted that for sure there's no one coming and you need to do it for yourself. So
I will definitely watch now the YouTube, the interview with him to see. Now I have like a spoiler, but anyway, now actually now I'm more curious to see what he's saying, and I want to watch you convincing him, right? So
yeah, he was a very nice guy, and I think he got it. Like right now he's very clear, he's really into his cooking
mm-hmm.
workshops. He's traveling the world speaking on longevity, and
And the
he's
documentary
having
did very
fun.
well, actually. His documentary on
Yeah,
Netflix was doing very well.
yeah, I think the question here is like, because I think many people focuses on longevity, right?
Yeah.
Many people focus on longevity, but I don't think that's really the point if you don't have a why for life. If you don't have purpose, if you don't like your everyday, why would you like to live 120 years? Like,
Mm-hmm.
didn't make sense to me. I prefer to have a cool life that I really find worth living,
Mm-hmm.
and live 80 or 90 years pretty intense, fulfilled, having fun, laughing,
Yeah.
than focusing on
Making it to
living
120 and but like
and being
suffering every day.
miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, for me, it didn't make any sense. But obviously, at the end, the best combination is to have 120 years of a fulfilling life.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Quality life and like long life. Yeah.
quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, obviously, that's the ideal. But uh, I don't know where technology and habits and AI will take us, but I prefer to focus on what I have now and just assume that I'm 100% responsible of my life. And the life I live today is the result of my decisions, my actions, my self love, because all those are within my control. And if
Mm-hmm.
I don't like it, I can do it differently. So that's what I prefer.
Talking about, you said actions that I can control, actions that I do, and we started the podcast with you telling me that you did the jogging and you like to watch the pictures and so all this stuff. So my question is, talking about personal responsibility, yeah? If you can share like an example from your personal life that you've seen that, okay, doing this actually leads to long-lasting happiness, or like it tremendously improved your quality of life or something.
Yeah, I have many examples. Even though I think I've lived a very fortunate life, I recognize myself with a lot of privilege around myself. I think I've made the best out of it. I always say that no one have anything for free. You know, like the life I live today that I find really worth living, it's the result of I wouldn't say 40 years, but maybe 30 years of conscious decision making,
Mm-hmm.
of being brave, of stepping out of my comfort zone. And I think two examples I have when I was in junior high school. Um, you know, this phase in life where your friends are everything. I used to have two very close friends. And one day, coming back to the classroom, I found a letter on my table. And I thought it was like these nice letters that teenagers used to send each other, right? Like, oh, you're my best friend, come to my house, let's hang out during the weekend, whatever. And actually, it was the opposite. You know, we don't want to be your friends anymore because you want to have always the spotlight. You're a bad friend. We don't want to talk to you anymore. And I remember feeling dizzy and wanted to throw up. So I went to the washroom, I cried, and then I asked the teacher to call my mom to come pick me up. And it was a Thursday, and I cried for 3 days. I said to my mom that I ate something that was bad, right? And that's why I was sick and I was throwing up or whatever. But I remember these 3 days crying and really thinking what I was going to do. If life was worth it, if someone else wanted to be a friend again, what I was going to do. So I decided not to tell my mom because my mom was friend with their mothers. So I said, no, I don't want to make this a big thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I thought about moving to a different school. And at the end, I said, if I move to a different school, I really giving them the power to decide my life. So I'm going to stay in the school.
They won.
I'm going to assume this. They won. And it was Sunday, right? Because on Friday, I didn't go to school. And then I cried Saturday. But on Sunday, I was nervous because on Monday, I needed to go to school because my mom was not going to take it, right? Like 4 days, you're sick because you ate something wrong. Like, no, it didn't make any sense. So I said, okay. And what made me most anxious was recess, you know, like, what am I going to do during break? So I decided to bring books because during class, you're paying attention and you don't really care, right? So I brought books. And during 6 months, I didn't have friends in one of the most important parts or these tricky parts, you know, being a teenager. And I had the opportunity to know myself better. And it was scary, yeah. It was totally scary, you know, like not having friends, really feeling seen by everyone, being alone, you know, on a bench,
Wow.
just reading, feeling judged, feeling criticized. But at the end, I think it was an experience that made me realize that I was in charge of my life.
But probably it was like a
because
very heavy experience and you were so young.
it was very heavy. It was really heavy. But I realized that I could do with adversity what I wanted to do, and I wanted to take out of it. Like I could have cried, I could have betrayed myself and say sorry, please keep being my friends. Oh, I made a mistake, even I didn't feel I made a mistake. I could have betrayed myself in order to please someone else and to still have friends. And I decided not to. So I started building a relationship with myself. I started knowing myself. I started laughing with myself. I even wanted to go to recess to break, to be with me, and to observe everyone observing me and start feeling comfortable with the uncomfort, being seen, being judged. And I really started an internal dialogue that was very positive from a very young age. So I think that was an experience that really was like a breaking point in my life. And the other one was my husband and I got married, and he knew I wanted to go abroad for my MBA. So when we got married, he tried to convince me to stay and to study here in Mexico. And I say no, because I'm not going to betray myself because of you. Because I would just like grow an emotional credit, that sooner or later I will charge you for. And that's not really building a healthy relationship. So we figured out how to do it. I went for 2 years. He was coming back and forth because in that moment, he had a very good job here in Mexico, so he couldn't go with me. So I said, listen, it's not fair that you like give up what you have here for me, but I'm not gonna give up for you either. So obviously in a Mexican culture, where women are like the satellites of most men, it was like a scandal. Like family, friends were like, what? You're going and you're leaving your husband here? Like, oh, that's not going to end up well. What are you doing? You're so stupid, blah, blah. But at the end, I think it was a very good experience. And I think it set a statement that we're two people building our own happiness and making our own decisions, and we're just sharing our path, but we're not building one path together. So I think it was a very good challenge. He used to go every 2 weeks to visit me for a couple of days. I used to work as crazy, so when he comes, we could hang out and
be together,
like sightseeing and be together.
You're in Florida, right? In Miami?
No, I went to Toronto and to Paris.
Ooh, okay. High roller.
Yeah.
It was far. Like years. I thought you were closer, but you were far.
Yeah, it was far. Yeah, like Toronto was like 4.5-hour flight, and Paris, it was like overseas. So that was far. But
it was a challenge.
It turned out well. Yeah, it was a challenge. But I think it was a statement that this life is mine and his life is yours. Is his, sorry. His life is his and my life is mine. And we're just here together to share our paths and to bring the best we can to each other. But we're not together, and you don't need to sacrifice yourself and betray yourself for no one. Like, your worth is not something that is negotiable.
Yeah.
Your dreams either.
And you know how they say, like, what doesn't kill us make us stronger. So it made actually the relationship stronger. But when you were speaking, actually, I was thinking about what we call in the positive psychology reframing. It's just like especially the first situation. It's like you're taking like a disaster or something that, you could make you like the shyest person, girl in the class, not having friends, not, just being in a bubble or something. And you just reframe everything in your favor. And I think you have to have like a very strong, and it was less painful. No, it was still painful. It was
very painful.
very painful, but at the end of the day, you were like, okay, I'm going to do this for myself. I'm not going to give up. I let them, like, if I move, you could have completely asked the mom to move, to change schools. So thank you for sharing. I think it's like amazing, like both of the
And
situation.
something, yeah, it was funny that like 4 or 5 months later, they apologized to me and they say they were sorry. And I say, okay, it's okay. But I didn't care anymore.
Amazing.
Like even because I've talked about this experience in other podcasts, and I think some friends of those years have called me to say, please tell me I didn't have anything to do with that. And I say, no. But because it was like these two girls, but we were a group of like 10, 12 girls that were friends. And all of them stopped talking to me.
Wow.
So I really asked myself about life, if it was still worth it, what I was going to do with it. And it turned out pretty well because I took it as a challenge, not as a tragedy, just by being responsible, like what I can do with this. Instead of asking, oh, but why me? What can I do? What can I take out of it?
Yeah.
So I moved from the victim
to the hero,
to an empowerment position, what I can do with this. Like, and it was very curious because after that experience, I felt that if I could survive that situation, I could survive anything.
Wow.
And in the like 25 years after that, I've had many breaking points in my life that I've always remind myself that I count on me, and obviously I've opportunity areas and weaknesses or whatever, but I've built throughout the years a very strong trust and
in
confidence in myself. And obviously I'm not perfect. I don't know how to do everything, but I'm very capable. And if I survive that, I can survive anything.
Amazing. I also do that, like associate with the like past experiences.
Yeah. And I'm convinced that your life is the result of the stories you tell yourself about your life. And even though the experiences passed, you can always reframe them. I could have tell to my husband, oh, you're the villain. Why are you making this so hard? Why are you asking me to stay? If you knew I wanted to go, I did the GMAT, all the tests or the application process.
You did the GMAT?
I got the scholarship. I have everything. And now you're saying marriage or my dream, my MBA? Why? You're not worth it. Let's divorce, whatever. But no, it's a reframing. I prefer to say, oh, he loved me so much that he just tried to keep me close. He didn't know what he was doing. At the end, we could figure it out. I did it. We have fun. We overcome the challenge. It turned out well. Now we're stronger. We've been together for 17 years. We still have challenges, but we can work on them and whatever. But if you have a positive inner dialogue and you're your fan and you trust yourself, your chances of doing well and feeling a fulfilling life, living a fulfilling life, are much higher than if you are your worst judge.
So true.
And you're pushing you down all day, all the time. Like criticizing yourself, feeling shame, you're not enough, you should have done better. Oh, but if you have a different body or look differently, or if you were smarter, I don't know.
It's like the if something, then something. The formula.
Yeah, challenges out there are enough. They're hard enough. Why are you making it harder for yourself with a toxic inner dialogue.
I always say that we are
And
our biggest
obviously,
enemies.
yeah. And obviously, this doesn't come out of the sudden, out of nowhere. It's work. In my case, it was work.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I always tell people that courage and bravery are muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So you work them every day, like I'm shy. I don't know, this lady here in the line. I don't know if I should talk to her. No, just do it. Even you're afraid of being rejected or of her reaction, just talk to her or talk to him.
Yeah.
And then they turn out that they're friendly. So next time you want to talk to a stranger, you're going to be less afraid. It's the same if you're trying to get a promotion. Oh no, but I don't really fit this description or this profile. Just raise your hand and ask for it. Maybe you're going to have 5 no's, but the 6 is going to
Could
be
be
a
a
yes.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe I'm not good in this sport. Okay, try 5 different ones and
Mm-hmm.
you will find out which one is good for you.
Yeah. And you know the definition
But
of
it's
the
about,
car. Sorry, go ahead. You wanted to finish.
no, tell me.
No, I wanted to remind you remember the definition of being to have courage. Doesn't mean like having courage doesn't mean that you're not afraid. It's actually being afraid and going for it anyway, right? Like the
Anyway, yeah. And actually, I'm going to share with you something I've learned many years ago. I think in one of these self-knowledge workshops I've attended. Uh, the meaning of the word fear as an acronym,
mm-hmm.
it's FEAR, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So F is false,
Mm-hmm.
E is evidence, A is appearing,
Mm-hmm.
R is real. Fear is false evidence appearing real.
Wow, I love
So
it.
in the moment you realize that, it's not real. You're making it real in your head, and that's why you're afraid of. But in the moment you have
Sweet.
that aha moment, you click that in your head, you stop taking life so seriously.
Yeah.
And it's easier to step forward and to do it anyway, even you're afraid. Because being afraid is being human. We all are afraid.
Yeah, but the thing is, like 99% of the things that we are afraid of never happen. But we
Never
worry and
happen.
worry about them and making scenarios in our head.
Exactly. And I mean, I was telling the other day because I went to a party and I had like this very funky outfit and funky hairstyle, right? So a guy said, "Why?" And I said, "Because life is short, like I don't care being like everyone else and having everyone clapping at me and saying, 'Oh, how pretty you are.' No, I don't care. I saw this, I thought it was fun, and I'm wearing it." So he said, "Why do you do that?" Right? And I've realized that sometimes I step into stores finding things I don't like because I challenge myself to feel comfortable wearing something I don't like
Mm-hmm.
in order to realize I'm not an outfit,
Mm-hmm.
what really makes me comfortable is the inside, what I think about myself. And I found myself even liking um shocking people. Like I see their faces like, what? And it's so funny for me, like this disruption, like why people just give time to me. They
Mm-hmm.
don't even know me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm really not that important. So for me, it's just fun. I just try to practice different ways of feeling comfortable, being uncomfortable,
I love it.
and not
And
taking
your
life
motto
so
is like,
seriously.
why to take yourself so seriously, right? Don't.
Yeah, yeah. Like I try to never take things personal. Like he's angry. Oh, it should be so difficult to have that marriage or to have that face or to have that job or to like, I just try to bring my storytelling
Mm-hmm.
into a compassion
Mm-hmm.
field
Yeah.
out of a judgment
Mm-hmm.
space. Because you're, oh, yeah, that's a bad person. He doesn't like me. Like, if you make everything personal, you're diminishing and pushing you down.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just like chilled, it doesn't depend on me.
Mm-hmm.
We all have our stories, our struggles, our conflicts, and just be compassionate with each other and reframe.
I want to share something with you, but I won't do it now because I have more questions. But I have the same, like, long story short, I had like this. I went last week with my kids to return some books from the library, and one, like, my girls always forget the books, whatever. So then one of the books, actually, none of my kids took it, but I got an email. So then I told to the librarian. She snapped at me. It was like 8:30 in the morning. She snapped on me completely. And then I looked at her, and now I was with the kids, so I couldn't really tell her what I think and what I feel. So I was like being very... I probably would have never been left in the school, like let in to get in the school after that. So I just realized, that it was nothing about me. She was completely frustrated about something else. I don't know what's happening in her life. I don't know what... It was nothing about the book. She completely, I told her she didn't take the kid didn't take the book. And then she had a monologue about, I'm only human. I can also make mistakes. I can also... And I was like, okay, dude, like, I just said, like... No, if you can imagine the situation, I told...
Thanks for clarifying.
Exactly, yeah. And it was not the first time when she clarified it. But what I want, like, I really understood it was nothing about me. It was nothing about the book. It was nothing about my kid. Her story, like at 8:30 in the morning, really, I don't know what she has been through in the last, like, in that specific day, in that morning, exactly.
Yeah.
Something was happening, and I was super proud of myself to identify. It was nothing about, like, I hope she won't listen to this, but yeah, even if she does. Anyway, I just wanted to share that sometimes it's really, we're taking things personal. It's not about us. It's
They're
about
not
them.
personal.
It's about their
No.
lives, and people are reactions sometimes are completely, and I have like a million examples about it, actually.
Exactly. And that takes us back to what we were talking at the beginning, right? Tell yourself a story that makes you feel good. And reframing, it's a responsibility
Mm-hmm.
action. You felt responsible of this, and you didn't hook up into that problem
Mm-hmm.
or argument.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the decisions we make. You make a decision if you want to be kind to someone else. You make a
Mm-hmm.
decision if you want to share something you have. You made a decision if you want to work out, if you want to set limits, if you want to say, I pretty understand you having a struggle, or yeah, we all make mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Have a great day. Bye. Or if you decide that experience will make your day misery,
Mm-hmm.
and it's 8:30 in the morning. So those are choices. And I think sometimes the point is that we react, right? Our behavior is automatic.
Of course.
We don't really, because we're in a rush all the time. We're stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
So I think lowering the speed,
Mm-hmm.
being conscious, being compassionate,
Present.
having this, being present and having this, being aware of this power you have of, do I want to make this mine or not? No,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't contribute to my life. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
contribute to my day. I let it go.
Mm-hmm.
But that's personal responsibility. No one else can do it for you.
I love it. I have one last question for you because we are running out of time, but it's a very important question that I wanted to ask you for a long time. Every time, like, I'm lacking some motivation, and every time I'm saying, I need a push, I'm looking on your social media and I'm seeing what you're doing. And I'm thinking to myself,
Okay.
you have like more TV appearances than Oprah. You're doing like more shows than Michelle Obama that she did for the when she launched her book and she did like the tour. I think you have more than her. So my question is, no, I'm serious, and that I'm right. So how do you get all your like energy, inspiration, motivation? How do you do it all?
Uh, I don't know how's the quote in English, but it's niche quote. You know, when you have a why, you can stand anyhow.
Mm-hmm.
And my purpose, my big why, is to contribute so people feel and know responsible of their own life building, you know. And based on that, they can start working with the science of happiness, so they can build a fulfilling and a happy life. So that's the big why
Mm-hmm.
for me. So every time I have an opportunity, a door, space, an invitation, I'm just thinking about the souls I can touch in order to contribute and help them wake up and don't miss any more day with a miserable life, with bad relationships, you know, like just going um, against the river, you know, like you're tired, you don't find a good reason to wake up. I mean, that's why every 40 seconds a person commits suicide, right? And for every person that really achieves,
Mm-hmm.
20 people tried. So for me, it's like really worrying that people nowadays don't want to leave. And I think it's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't know how to. And I really feel fortunate to know about the sciences of happiness and to have applied tools for more than 25 years. I've been studying human behavior for more than 25 years, and I've specialized in happiness in the last 6 years. But I just love to live. And it's not that my life is easy, it's that I built a life that for me, even though there's adversity and challenges, for me, it's worth living. So I just want to bring my message to every corner of the world so I can maybe help people to wake up and to start working on their own fulfilling life. And I think many or a big part of my work is taking out all these myths around happiness, you know, oh, being happy all the time or achieving happiness or finding happiness, like just the wording, you know, like how do you want to find happiness? You want to find your keys because you know they exist and you left them somewhere and you don't find them. But you cannot find happiness if you haven't built it.
Mm-hmm.
Like happiness is not something that suddenly comes out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
No, happiness is something you build every day. And it's not a decision, it's a decision every day or every moment. So I think part of my work is just like to, you know, take out all these myths around happiness. And I try to inspire people to make good decisions, to step out of the victim role, to really be the main character of their own story, and start little, make it fun so you can be consistent. Because if it's boring, like obviously you're not going to be consistent. Make it simple. And that's how you start building trust. And that's how you start realizing those choices you make you live a better life. So you start um, being really motivated and being really passionate about your life. And that's how you start building um, a better life. And that's why you're willing to make these tough decisions that are the ones that really um, bring a better everyday, you know, because sometimes we get used to it, you know, we get used to that person yelling at us, we get used to dirt and disorder, we get used to bad stuff, cheap things, uh, being paid a little for work. Why? Why? You can choose differently. And that's why I tell everyone that happiness is a matter of self love, because it's when you realize you're worth it, that you desire, that you decide you deserve
Mm-hmm.
being happy. And that's what really brings you to do the work that it's necessary to be happy. This sense of deserve. I deserve a better life. That's what, at least in my case, um, made me start this happiness journey that I've been walking through. I mean, at the beginning, without knowing, I was like 13 years when it started. I'm 40 now. So it's been 27 years
Mm-hmm.
on this personal work and personal construction. And for me, it's um, a lot of fun. I'm passionate about it. I'm excited about it. And that's why I just try to inspire people and really don't give up on their life.
Thank you so much for your amazing, inspiring work. I get my motivation from you. I'm sure that many other Moors, they're doing it. So really continue
Thank
the
you.
amazing work that you're doing. Thank you so much for taking the time. I feel like I didn't ask you half of the question that I wanted to ask you today, but we touched, like a few, points. And I don't know, it was super fast. There's something that you want to ask me, or something that I asked, a question that you want me to ask you and I haven't yet?
Um,
I shoot myself in the leg
no,
now.
I think we cover it all. Like the important thing for me is courage. It's a muscle practice. Feel responsible for your life. Um, on one hand, you will have to accept what you did wrong, but on the other one, you also can celebrate what you've done well and keep working. Reach out for sciences. For me, it's just like going on the safe path. Not just thinking positive or visualizing
Hugging
or
the
like
trees.
this yeah, like this toxic positivity. Their information, their research, uh, that for me are like safe spaces to start from. um Relationships, 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 reality, reality, reality. If you're waiting for life to not be challenging in order to be happy, you're gonna die unhappy. Life is challenging. Embrace it. And just thank you for the invitation, for the space. I'm so happy that you're doing this work, bringing these tools in that side of the globe. And I'm very grateful to be here with you. And I hope everyone that's listening to us, that they can share this content, if they find it useful. Happiness is contagious. So you can always bring this valuable message to that person you're thinking of while you were listening to us, and help someone.
Always, yeah,
We're in this
always help.
together.
So my goal is actually to talk to as many interesting people as possible and to really share this knowledge and share these people that they are doing so much work on in the happiness studies. So thank you for helping me share the happiness around the happiness revolution. Thank you so much for taking the time, and have a great day, because you're just starting, right, in Mexico.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. My pleasure to be here. I'm always so open to keep talking and keep sharing and discuss whatever. And thank you all.
Thank you.